IB Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Irish Breakdown Podcast brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Happy Wednesday. Happy almost Turkey Day. I know if you guys are anything like me, looking forward to getting to chow down on some pretty good food here in the next 24 hours. But before we get there, folks, we have a loaded show coming your way. As you guys know, some news just broke. Amari Irvin, 2027 linebacker from IMG Academy, just committed to the University of Notre Dame. So we are going to cover that. And then we're going to dive into kind of like our normal Thursday show, but obviously it gets pushed back with Thanksgiving being tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about our game predictions for Notre Dame Stanford. We're going to give our score predictions, how we see it playing out, game records, anything that we might be concerned with. And then we're going to dive into Notre Dame's rooting guide. It's rivalry weekend, and there's going to be a lot of different games that are going to impact Notre Dame positively or negatively. And then we have about 3 games that we're going to preview for this upcoming weekend. We're going to talk about Friday's games. And then on Friday, Vince and Brian are going to go live and talk about some of the games that will be happening on Saturday. So it is a holiday week, but still a lot of Irish Breakdown content coming your way. But Brian, let's get this all started and kicked off by the commitment 2027 linebacker Amari Irvin from IMG Academy.
Yeah, this is one that's kind of been floating around for a while. There was a chance that Trev, you and I discussed this potential commitment. Trying to remember, I'm pulling his profile up. He visited for a game, and for the life of me, I'm forgetting what game it was. It was the October 11th game. What that'd be? Was that USC? I thought it was the NC State game. So he visits for the NC State game. And we talked about at the time, we thought there was a chance that he was going to commit then. And so we've already done like prep work on an Amari Irvin breakdown back then, and he ended up not committing, letting the process play out a little bit, and has decided to commit to Notre Dame now. And this gives them a second linebacker in the class. So a very interesting situation. He's the younger brother of Cedric Irvin Jr., which means he's also the son of Cedric Irvin, the former stud running back for Michigan State, who's played against Notre Dame. Well, if you guys remember the story with Cedric Jr., he committed to Notre Dame and then basically had his commitment revoked by Notre Dame when the new staff came along. It was a very unfortunate situation. Sean Davis and I talked about it at the time. We didn't love that decision by Notre Dame. We understood it because the staff that was now hired did not recruit Cedric Jr. They were honest with him and said, hey, you're not going to play here. And it ended up working out for both. Cedric's going to get a degree from Stanford, and Notre Dame went on and got Jeremiah Love. So it kind of worked out for both people. But I was shocked, honestly, that that Amari was going to kind of have the interest in that, because I know his dad wasn't happy about what happened with Cedric Jr. But it sounds like, some menses have been mended, and some bridges have been repaired, and now Amari Irvin's in the class. And I think it also is an example of, good parenting involves allowing your children to make what they think is the best decision for them. And certainly the Irvin family is allowing Amari to do that. So I think it's a cool backstory, to be honest with you. It's not often that you have a situation like that come up. And I think it says a lot about the Irvin family. It also says a lot about Notre Dame and the kind of relationships they've been able to build with that family since all that kind of went down. So good pickup for Notre Dame. We'll dive into what it all means, but I just felt it was kind of interesting to discuss that little part of the backstory before things, went too far. But I just think it's another example, Trevor, of just Notre Dame remains just a really hot program. This is a kid that's been to Notre Dame a couple times. He also visited in the summer, came here in June for a visit. June for one of the, during the camp season, came back for a game, and Notre Dame has been able to really get this one done. He has one of the more impressive offer lists you're going to find. A lot of the IMG kids do, but I was kind of like right now, as I was writing the article, the commitment article earlier today, I'm writing it and I'm like listing all the schools that he's been offered by. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to say, and many others. It was like, I can't write all these schools out. He's got offers from Ohio State, Miami, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oregon, USC, Penn State, Texas A&M, LSU, Oklahoma, Florida, Florida State, Michigan, Tennessee, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, Louisville, Nebraska, Arkansas, SMU, Indiana, Kansas State, among many, many, many others. So this is a kid that was certainly in high regard, and he's a good football player. And so Notre Dame was able to get it done and add him to the class. So it is interesting. I mean, look, we were going to talk about in the evaluation period, but let's just kind of get this out of the way now. Second linebacker in the class. So we're going to do a little bit of a moving around of our normal angle, because I want to get this out of the way now, because this is talked about a lot when people mention it. This is the second linebacker in the class. Obviously, Amari joins Ellis McGaskin, who is committed to Notre Dame from Alabama. Ellis is listed at 6'1", about 215. Amari is listed either 5'11" or 6 foot, depending on who you talk to. And these guys don't exactly fit the typical prototype of what Notre Dame has recruited a linebacker over the years. Normally they recruit the 6'2 plus, really long rangy guys. Ellis is pretty long, even though he's not tall. Amari's got good length, but he doesn't have like the kind of a length that you would normally think would overcome it. So, I mean, that is an interesting thing in this 27 class. We're seeing a different type of linebacker, a smaller linebacker. Now, Amari has some thickness to him. He's already 215, 220. He's going to be 230 plus when it's all said and done, which can be taken one of two ways. One is, why are they going against the profile? The second question is, well, clearly they think these guys are really good and they're not going to turn away really good players because they don't fit a profile. Like, there's two ways this conversation can go, Trevor, when you're evaluating these type of players. Is one is, why are they recruiting short linebackers? I thought we were done with that. Well, yeah, but the short linebackers they were recruiting in the past were like Drew Whites and Joe Schmitz and guys that weren't elite prospects. J.D. Bertrand, who ended up becoming a big-time prospect. Jack Kaiser, who became a big-time prospect. So the last two short linebackers that Notre Dame signed both got drafted and were 3-year starters at Notre Dame. So, and are playing in the NFL right now. So I think the reality is you have a profile of what you're looking for. We want length, we want this, we want that. But at the end of the day, you have to be willing to say, yeah, this guy doesn't fit that profile, but this kid has all the other traits we look for. Mike Mickens loves long defensive backs, but he also took Nick Reddish last year in 26 was 5'11". He took Khalil Terry this year, right? Like, well, why did he go against the grain for those players? Adon Schuler does not fit the normal profile for what Mike Mickens looks for. He's 5'11", 6 feet tall, but he's a heck of a football player. So you have to be willing to kind of go away from the profile. Mark Zachary doesn't fit the profile of what what Mike Mickens is looking for, which is the 6'1" plus corners. But you get to the point in time where the kid's too good to pass up. And I think that's what the staff feels about Amari and Ellis is, yeah, they don't fit the profile, but they're really talented football players. And we'd love to have them. And I think with Amari, there's the added bonus of you're getting a kid from IMG. So you finally get yourself a foothold in that school. I don't think recruiting IMG is as important as maybe some people do, but it doesn't hurt if there's the right kid. You have to be real careful with IMG kids. You have to be real careful that you're getting the right type of player. Because a lot of those IMG kids, that's where I'm just going to say it as bluntly as I can. They're kind of mercenary prospects, some of them, where they're just kind of, I'm going there and I'm going to, I'm looking for the right dollar amount and the right not all of them. So you got to be careful. And clearly Notre Dame has done their due diligence. They've been recruiting Amari for a year, and they know the family very well from recruiting Cedric. So clearly there was a feeling that, hey, this kid fits the profile of what we're looking for off the field. He fits a lot of the things we look for on the field: instincts, athleticism, toughness, smarts, all that. He just lacks this over here. So all these things are going to carry the day. And that's why Amari Irvin is now in the class.
Yeah, I guess his measurables make this an interesting pickup. But one of the things that I do like about it, Brian, is we talk a lot about position coaches trying to diversify their rooms. You talked about what Mike Mickens has done, bringing in Adon Schuler and Mark Zachary, guys that don't typically fit the bill. I think you're starting to see a little bit of that too with Max Bulla and now Chris Ash and Marcus Freeman wanting to diversify the linebacker room perhaps a little bit, because you go and you look at the roster of who the players that they have now and players that will likely still be here or have the, I don't want to say likely, have the opportunity to still be here when Ellis and when Amari get on campus. I mean, Madden Framos, 6'2", 235. Jaden Ausberry could. He's 6'2", 228. Kingston could. He's 6'3", 230. Josiah Keokuk, he's 6'2", 220. Kahanu Kia is 6'2", 230. So it could be about diversifying as well, as long as the main core is still like they're just really good football players. Because above all else, that is one thing when we talked about the commitment that we talked about last time. His name is escaping me. When we talked about Khalil Terry's commitment to Notre Dame, we talked about how they just want good football players at their basis. And I think that that's what we're going to see when we pop in the film on Amari Irvin, is that he's just a good football player. The other thing I like about this recruiting pickup here, Brian, is, we talk all the time about Notre Dame wanting to have success in their hotbeds. And you talked about how he's from Florida, gets you a foothold at IMG Academy. You're out battling Southern schools for this guy. He had offers from Miami, Florida, Florida State, Georgia. So adding another to the repertoire, and some of the other defensive prospects that they have in their 2027 class already committed are from California, Alabama, now Florida, and then obviously Wisconsin with Richie Flanagan. So definitely going to be one that is impactful for their national recruiting efforts. Florida's a state that they want to maintain a presence in. So I like that as well with this recruiting pickup.
The Southern presence in this class has been impressive. I mean, you've got a quarterback from Georgia, a linebacker from Alabama. Now you have another quarter. And Amari is not your typical, like he is a Florida kid. Like a lot of kids from IMG aren't necessarily Florida kids. They come from all over the place. Two of the most recent IMG kids that Notre Dame landed that had success were a kid from Illinois and a kid from Pennsylvania, Houston Griffith and Robert Hainsey. Obviously, Tony Jones Jr. was from Florida as well. Spencer Perry, who they got from IMG, was from Alabama. So they've got some kids from here, and not all of them are from Florida. Amari's a Miami kid. I mean, his family lives in Miami. His brother went to Columbus down in Miami when he was in high school. And so you're definitely seeing a Notre Dame starting to have more and more of an impact in the South, which is, again, one of the reasons that we've said teams don't want Notre Dame to start being good. Because if Notre Dame starts being good and they start being able to go down south and get kids from IMG and get kids out of Alabama and quarterbacks from Georgia that they beat, that Ohio State wanted and that they beat Georgia for, things like that, then look, you're going to be able to kind of go anywhere. And that's what Notre Dame has been proving here under Marcus Freeman, is they can go anywhere. And this is just another example of that. So certainly that blueprint part of it is impactful. When you look at the class impact a little bit deeper, Trevor, obviously I think this is a year where you probably want at least 3 linebackers in the class. You only signed 2 last year. Notre Dame intentionally only signed 2 last year. It was not a great linebacker class nationally. They really liked Thomas Davis Jr. Jacoby Clapper is a kid that they view as a very versatile football player. He doesn't have the same body type as Kingston Viliama-Asa. He's not like the high-level elite prospect that Kingston was, but like he's a very good football player that is in the mold of Kingston in that he can do so many things. Jacoby can rush the passer. He can drop into coverage. He can play off-ball linebacker. So there's some versatility, a Jalen Sneed type, a Kingston type, and that versatile type of linebacker role. And they kind of kicked the tires in a couple of the linebackers, but it wasn't a great linebacker class. They got 2 kids they really liked. And, when Iowa pushes for a linebacker in the Midwest, which they did for Jacoby Clapper, you kind of pay attention. We always talk about, what top prospects. And then we always talk about how does Iowa keep doing what they keep doing? Because they keep finding kids like Jacoby Clapper. Fortunately for Notre Dame fans, Notre Dame coaching staff is also smart enough to find that kid from St. Xavier in Cincinnati and say, hey, we're going to get that kind of kid. So the other thing, too, is I think there was an early glance at the 27 linebacker class, and they realized that's a much deeper linebacker class. And so they kind of put some of the numbers towards that class. So this gives them 2. I don't think that you're going to see them stop at 2 now. I think that you're going to probably have them go out and get a 3rd, maybe even a 4th linebacker in this class. So this is a strong way to start. Obviously, Amari Irvin's a kid that's ranked as the number 123 overall player in the country when it comes to ESPN. He earned a top 150 caliber grade on the Irish Breakdown board. He grades that really high on like athleticism, instincts, toughness, physicality. He's good in coverage. He's a very impactful cover player. The thing that drags him down outside of the top 100 is just the measurables. I mean, that's really the reason why he fits there. If the measurables aren't an issue, then I think he's going to be a really good football player. And we've seen plenty of big time linebackers that aren't aren't that tall. I mean, just even recently for Georgia with Nakobe Dean. So, and I think Ellis McGaskin's an absolute stud linebacker as well. So this is a strong start to the linebacker class, while also being able to recognize that these two kids don't fit your normal profile for what Notre Dame looks for. Like, I'm not going to deny that, and I'm not going to act like that's not a little bit surprising. Like somebody asked, are you surprised Notre Dame is going with shorter players in this class? Well, again, I just think that's what they're kind of looking for. They're looking for football players. You know, like, yeah, they'd like profiles, but they're looking for football players. Khalil Terry's about the same size that he's maybe, what, a half an inch shorter than Don Schuler, you know, slightly taller than Nick Reddish. At the end of the day, you want football players. That's what Marcus Freeman's always put a premium on. If that means sometimes you don't take guys that necessarily have the length they're looking for, sure. What I don't want them to do is make a habit of this, where this year's class and next year's class are all filled out with 5'11", 6-foot linebackers. But it's okay to take a couple of those kids if you're mixing them in with some other types, because if the length becomes a problem, then you go with somebody else. If it doesn't, then this kid's going to go out there and be a big-time football player for you. So I think at the end of the day, they just decided, are these kids' other traits enough to overcome the fact that they don't have this trait? And clearly the staff decided that was going to be true when it came to both Ellis McGaskin and Amari Irvin. I don't think Khalil Terry has a length problem. Khalil Terry's not tall. Khalil Terry's very long. And the issue for this, the thing the staff looks for is length. Length is not height. There are guys who are tall. Drew Tranquil 6'2". He did not have good length. That was one of the knocks on him coming out of in the NFL draft. He only had like 30-inch arms. Length is not height. Sometimes they go hand in hand, but if you're a 6'2" linebacker with 30-inch arms, you're going to have the same length as a 6-foot linebacker with 33-inch arms. Actually, less than a guy with 33-inch arms, right? Like, length is not height. Sometimes they go together. If you're 6'2" with 33-inch arms, you're going to have better length than a 6-foot guy with 33-inch arms. So I just think you have to weigh all those traits together, and that's what the staff did. And now they've got two talented top 150 caliber linebackers in this class. I would probably put Ellis ahead of Amari as just a pure off-ball linebacker. I think Amari brings a little bit more versatility. He's, I think Jaden Alsbury actually might be another guy that you look at Amari, and his game really resembles a lot of what Jaden's was in high school. I just don't know that he's as explosive as Jaden was, and he's not quite as big as what Jaden was. Jaden was 6'2" and a little bit more impactful in that regard.
Yeah, but regardless, definitely a good pickup, like you alluded to. Notre Dame is looking to attract talented football players, and Amari Evans definitely fits that bill. Brian, I'm ready to dive into some film if you are.
I will be as soon as this commercial's done. Going on the huddle, they have like the longest commercials now, dude. It's so crazy. It's like you got to wait like a solid minute with some of these commercials before.
You don't want to buy a Honda?
No, I don't want to buy a Honda. Not even a little bit. I've already bought a car in the last couple of years. I'm hoping that lasts me another 20 years. So I tried to convince my wife I wanted to get a Mustang again, because my parents bought me a Mustang when I was 21. She's like, sure, when you reach, and she gave me like a goal, and I was like, okay, we're never going to get to that. So I was like, way to set an unfair standard. But yeah, I'm not going to be buying that anytime soon. But yeah, we got our car. So let's look at some film of Amari Irvin here, folks. First thing you're going to notice is he does a lot of different things for their high school team. Number 4, that's where that Jaden Alsbury aspect looks like. So you'll notice he's not a real big player. You look at this. I love this instincts, though. Like, right, he's playing his zone. Look at him getting uncovered. He makes a play on the ball. He had 3 sacks and 3 interceptions, I believe, this year for IMG. So that's a guy that makes an impact in a lot of different ways. Look at this block destruction here. He's a very, very rangy linebacker. Look at that quickness. That blocker has zero chance at getting to him. Like, look how quickly he reads that play. Like, this is what I talk about, Trev. If you're going to be short and not have great length, you better have some traits that make up for it. And he shows about 3 of them right here. Number 1 is great read on the play, right? Great awareness of what's around him. Quickness, speed, and then look at that tackle.
Yep.
Great form tackle right here by Amari. So another example of a kid that great reads. He's flying downhill. He gets to the ball, plays with great pad level. So you see the traits that people like from him in this game.
A lot of hustle. He has good speed, man.
Yeah, he can run. He can run. Yeah, this is as he put in the notes, an end of the half play. So this is against Hoover in Alabama, which is always a national powerhouse. You see him get through the hole. Look at that block destruction right there, reading the play, blowing up the puller, getting to the running back. That's a heck of a play right there. It's a heck of a play right there. He's
very instinctive. Very instinctive.
Look at that. Taking the proper angle, blowing up the lead blocker, getting off the block, and then getting to the ball carrier. Knock somebody's helmet off.
It's a powerful kid, man.
Yeah, he is. For lack of size, he. Well, and if you ever watch his dad play, Trevor, I'm going to have you after the show because this is a little bit before your time. Cedric Irvin is a little bit before your time. After the show, I'm going to have you go watch some Cedric Irvin senior clips of Michigan State, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it. I see where that came. But like, look at that. Look at him working through the trash here. Now you can see this is a little bit of why I say you see some Jaden Alsbury in this game. Look at him. Look at that base. Working across the, scraping over top, just getting over the block, stepping to the hole. Driving his hips through contact. Yeah.
Keeping his shoulders square. He's a very good fundamental football player.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Here he is out in space, driving through the defender here. This is at Penn. I'm not sure who this is against, but this is definitely at Penn, Penn's on Penn's field. So just look at him take that lead blocker and drive him into the backfield. That's a heck of a play. But he's powerful too. Like you said, Trev, he's a very powerful player. He does not mess around. Amari's a physical kid. And you can see that. See, look, he's got good length, even though he's short. It just doesn't have like the elite length that you'd want to make up for. But he's a well-built kid. He's well put together. There's no doubt about that. Very instinctive football player. Look at him scraping downhill, not over pursuing, being smart. Let's make sure there's no cutback, protect my lane, and then closing the quarterback.
Yeah, the second he makes the decision to go, he moves. Like flies downhill, still keeps his shoulder square, not opens himself up to any sort of move from the pass catcher there. And then I think
that's a heck of a play right there, Trev. You picked it off, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a heck of a play.
But again, Brian, that's what we talk about, like just being a good football player. That's just a good football player play, like above all else.
Yep, watch the swim move right here. Boom. Now, I don't know that move works a lot against some college players, but I love that he's got that in his repertoire, closes on the quarterback. And look how powerful he is. Like, he's not exactly running like 1,000 miles an hour, and that quarterback gets rocked. Like, that's a physical hit. You're just coming off the edge, dropping into coverage. Like, look at that. Boom. It's a smart football player. And you can see he lines up all over the place. He's dropping into zone coverage here. He lines up off ball. He plays out in the slot. Does a lot of different things, and he does them very well. Look at that downhill quickness. And he is like, this is another example of this kid is not afraid to hit people. Like he looks for contact.
His helmet flew off.
He's not looking to avoid. This is the second offensive. Is that his helmet? Yeah, it's his helmet that came off. Yeah, that's a penalty in college. But yeah, but he still goes after the kid and takes him down with no helmet on.
It's a dog, man. That's
yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's a tough player, man. Very tough player. But he's also a good athlete. He's not like that he just lacks size. I mean, if he was 6'2", 230, like everybody would be like, oh my God, what a great prospect this is. Like the only reason he's not a higher ranked prospect is his size. That's it. That's the only reason. Look at that patience. Look at that. Like, this is a good play because he's not overcommitting. He's not, you know what I mean? Like, he's not, okay, I got to know my job, get downhill, show good pursuit, like, I don't know. I just like the kid as a player. I like him as a player.
I do too. Very instinctive, fundamentally sound. He's a powerful, strong kid.
Yeah. Because, like, just so we're clear, everybody's on the same page, the thing that play's pointing at is not Amari. This thing's pointing at, like, that kid, but Amari is that, like, that's Amari on this clip. Just so we're clear. But look at the patience as he gets downhill, right? He doesn't fly downhill. He doesn't go out of control, and that allows him to then redirect and get outside to the quarterback. It's just another smart football play. Yeah, at first I thought he was the other kid. I was like, nope, that thing's incorrect. Like, that doesn't look like him. Good pursuit. Another that's against Hoover, I believe, also. Yeah, he's a good player. Is that St. Joe that they're playing there? It kind of looks like it. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good football player. So you guys see what Notre Dame is looking for. You guys see the intelligence. You see the patience. You see the closing speed. You see the power. He just lacks size, like ideal size. Well, I should say he lacks ideal length. He's got a good frame. I mean, he's going to be 230 when it's all said and done. He'll look a lot like Jaden Alsbury, just not as tall, you know. But he's already even a little thicker than Jaden was coming out of high school. And just the power. He's a powerful kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, USMA, high football IQ. Absolutely. Very smart football player.
It's not beyond the realm of possibility. He grows an inch either.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah. I mean, and look, here's what you're getting. You're getting a kid who, best case scenario, is a multi-year starter and a team captain. Worst case scenario, you're getting a 4-year starter on special teams who's a rotation player his last couple of years. Yeah. If he's willing to stick it out. Like, that's the worst case scenario with a kid like this, in my opinion, barring injury. I mean, like, I just mean development. And, you know, obviously injuries can derail kids. Bad attitudes can derail kids. Those are things that I can't control. I'm just saying, as a football player, worst case scenario is you're going to get a kid who's a multi-year rotation player and an absolute demon on special teams for 4 years.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, you get a multi-year starter and a potential team captain type of guy. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Does he play any other side of the ball, or is it just defense?
No, not at IMG. You don't usually
Okay.
play
Oh,
one
that's
side of the
right.
ball
Yeah,
at
that's
IMG.
right. That's
yeah,
right.
His brother's a running back, but like he's a more explosive athlete than his brother was. His brother was also smart and heady, had really good feet and balance. He just lacked the juice. That Amari has. So that's Amari Irvin, Notre Dame's latest commitment number 7 in the class. Joins Teddy Gerard, quarterback from Georgia. James Halter, offensive tackle from Pennsylvania. Richie Flanagan, who's kind of a two-way lineman from Wisconsin. You also have Ellis McGaskin at linebacker. You now have Amari Irvin at linebacker. You have Khalil Terry as a safety nickel type of player. And, of course, the best snapper in the country, and Sean Kraft is in the class as well. So 7 players now in the 2027 class, and I expect Notre Dame to keep adding a decent number of players to this over the next month and a half. I think they'll add several players to the class. So that'll be that's a nice way to kick it off. I got the alert, got a text message from somebody, was like, "Hey, it's going to happen today, 1:00." I was like, "Cool, let me finish getting the story ready." So we're able to get that done. But this was more of a when, not if kind of recruitment, and today's the day.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for part 1 of today's show. Don't go anywhere. We have a loaded slate today. But before we get there, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this podcast with your friends and family, anybody that you know loves Notre Dame and college football as much as you do. But as always, the best way to support what we do here is subscribe to the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com.